address the status of the manager. I have said for the last, I think about week and a half, that there's a clock. What time is it for Carlos Mendoza? And I had been saying I was at about 8 o'clock, 8:15 in terms of when you hit midnight, you want the manager fired. I'm going to get it out of the way right now, early on in this, Rico, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about it on Evan and Tiki, but there's a lot of other stuff going on. The Yankees are competent. The Knicks are competent. The Giants made a big trade. But I will tell you right now, 10 minutes into this, Rico, live at about 5:18 on a Sunday, in the midst of an 11-game losing streak, they have no choice, but they have to fire Carlos Mendoza. And that doesn't mean this is his fault. I feel like I have to say that every time because people get confused. Carlos Mendoza isn't the reason they're averaging 3.2 runs per game. Carlos Mendoza isn't the reason that Devin Williams blew a game. Carlos Mendoza is not even the main culprit for why this team is where they are. It's David Stearns. He built the team. I think we all know that. Or the individual players on the roster. But there comes a time in a baseball season where you have to try something. And you're almost doing Mendy a favor. You're almost saying, you know what, Carlos? This is your first managerial stint. You'll probably get another one. You had a great first year, a disastrous close to your second year, and this is getting so bad, we're going to put you out of your misery. But when you are looking at a team such as this, over the course of an 11-game losing streak, dropping to 7-15, a fan base that is going to be coming for blood on Tuesday night at Citi Field, at least those that show up, I think you got to try something. So it's not about blaming him. It's not about him being the reason that they're losing games. I mean, this is a tale as long as time. When a team is underachieving or a team is going through a tailspin, you got to do something. And you know what the other lesson I learned? I've learned lessons as a Met fan. One of the lessons I've learned is sometimes you can't overcome a collapse. Willie Randolph never overcame the collapse of 2007. They tried to give him a chance in 2008, and the team was mediocre, and they made a change. I don't know if Carlos Mendoza is ever going to be able to overcome, being the manager, the orchestrator, over that collapse last year, over having no answers last year, over telling us over and over again there's too much talent in the room. He don't have any answers anymore. And so I think there's a few reasons why you do something like this. One is because you can't fire the GM in the middle of the year. It serves no purpose. You're not going to get rid of everybody on the roster. You can't do that in the middle of the year. So the only extreme thing you can do is fire the manager. That's number one, and that's obvious. Number two, at least for a few days, it'll change the conversation. Because right now the conversation around this team is as toxic as humanly possible. So I'm at midnight. I'm not going to belabor the point anymore because what is there left to say about changing the manager versus not changing the manager? It's going to be the same stupid debate. It's not his fault. Not saying it's his fault. But the team's lost 11 in a row and he doesn't have a damn answer. So you try something. How many managers in the history of baseball who've been fired midseason, whether it was Willie Randolph in 08, whether it was Joe Girardi in 22 with the Phillies, you can name it. You can go through the litany of options. How many times was it truly the manager's fault? Not often. So I don't need to hear that. Like it's a waste of time. No one's disagreeing with that. It's more, and here's the question I would ask anybody who says, no, man, you can't fire the manager. It's mean. It's not fair. It's not right. Here's what I'd say. What do you want to do? Because at 7-15, you have a few options. I guess you could do nothing. I guess you could say there's too much talent in the room. I guess you could say just run it out there every day. Eventually they'll turn it around. You could do that. That's probably what they're going to do. So option one is do nothing. Option two is DFA somebody to send a message. I don't even know who that would be. Or make some changes to your roster on the periphery, which they've already done with the back end of the bullpen and some of the moves they've made at the back of the bench. Okay. What does that do? You could try lineup changes. We've already seen that. So what do you want to do? And I guess those that wouldn't have had that clock strike midnight the way it has for me is going to say, well, just let Juan Soto come back. As if Juan Soto, and this is so unfair to him, it's baseball, is a miracle worker, Is Juan Soto going to fix Mark Vientos? Is Juan Soto going to fix the fact that Francisco Lindor has 1 RBI as we sit here going into April 21st? That's the next time they play a baseball game. Is Juan Soto going to fix that Bo Bichette has been an unmitigated disaster offensively? Can he save that? Because I don't think he can. And so, not to belabor the point, but I know that's the big question. When does the clock strike midnight? I'm at midnight. And we've gone over the names. I think it would likely be Andy Green or Kai Correa internally. Carlos Beltran makes a lot of sense. Are you going external and hiring a Joe Girardi from the Yes booth? Probably not. Is JD Martinez ready to manage? Probably not. But I don't think they're going to do it, quite frankly. I don't think they are. So just because I say it on the Rico Brogna, just because you say it to your friends or on social media, or you may chant it at Citi Field next week, doesn't mean it's going to happen. But I'd like to see David Stearns with his big smile, because he's smiling all the time. I'd like to see him sit in that dugout again Tuesday before the game and address the masses. I know there's nothing he can say, just like he couldn't say anything Friday in Chicago. What is there to say? Every move this man has made has been a failure. Now, it's 22 games, so I guess by some miracle, all those moves that look abysmal could flip on a dime. But all of them, to a T, have been awful.